Hi, and welcome to The Mind of a Skeptical Leftist, the podcast where I discuss progressive politics, left-wing philosophy, and critical thinking with a variety of people. Today I'm joined by Outcast X from the Utah Outcasts podcast and YouTube show. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
It's been a long time since we chatted.
Oh, man. I think the last time I interviewed you, and it was only like a 20-minute interview, and it was like three goddamn years ago. God.
Yeah. It's
wow,
gotta
time
be at
flies.
least that long. Oh, yeah. I mean, especially 2020 was like just bizarre, right?
Yeah, I think the last time we did it, you were still working the job that you're doing now that you'd left. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was a lifetime ago.
Exactly. Yeah. So I guess for people that might not know who you are.
How dare you? No, I'm kidding. No.
Why don't you give us a rundown of who you are and what is your political identity?
Okay, my name is X. I go by that only because I've run afoul of Proud Boys one too many times, and I don't want people to really know who the hell I am on the internet because I actually have a job that might not like some of my views sometimes, so I kind of have to go incognito. I mean, it's not hard to find out who I am. It's just that people that want to put in work, and Proud Boys aren't the kind that usually want to do that kind of work. So,
right.
So I am the host, producer, whatever other title I can give myself of the Utah Outcast, one of the three co-hosts of the show that we do there. I'm joined by my co-hosts Felicia and Kyle. Felicia is the staunchest anarchist that we have on the panel. Kyle and myself have to be careful with what we announce ourselves as because, like I said, we have day jobs that if they found out we said something like that, they might not like it too much. But I am leaning communist, social democracy. I am very much a socialist for goddamn sure. But, you know, you can't really come out and say I'm a communist working for the people that I work with. So
right. Yeah, it's
I'm very much pro-labor, very much give the people what they need to survive, social safety nets. I want all of the people that inhabit a country that decide to have a government to benefit from the government. They should be taking care of people's well-being. And I think that billionaires shouldn't exist. Neither should multimillionaires exist because you get to be a certain point of wealth and it doesn't mean a goddamn thing anymore to anybody except yourself. So
yeah, that's right. It's just a score game at that point, right?
And at that point, like you're following generations of whoever you're going to have will be able to live off of that for multitudes of generations. And
yeah, that's right.
Not saying I want to deprive anybody of their wealth, but I don't think you've earned it for the most part.
Let's take that wealth and let's distribute it.
Well, I mean, how dare people over billionaires say that I made this money? No, you kind of stole that money from the people that made you rich. You
absolutely did not do enough work to earn $1 billion.
No, and you have CEO pay that's 300 times what other people's normal benefits would be, and on top of that, you give them bonuses of money that it would pay 20-something people enough money to live the rest of their lives off of, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
It's obscene. It's absolutely obscene that I live in the richest nation on the planet, and yet we still have a homeless problem, feeding people problem, and we still have housing problems. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I do another show with a guy who he is still a capitalist.
Yeah.
But even like when he breaks it down for me, he's like, even those CEOs that get like $300 million and they're making thousands of times what their average employee makes, even they will not be billionaires by the time they die. And I mean, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk are on their way to being trillionaires. Like it's not a thing that makes any sense.
At that point, just you should just say, okay, money's no longer going to you. You can afford whatever you want. Let's put this back into the system. And you come to dad and you say, I want a pony. We'll get you a pony. Well, you want a house? We'll buy you a house. That's fine. We'll get you a house. Just let's take that obscene hoard of wealth and put it to actual use instead of having it sit in a bank. And then you'll get the people that are like, but if it's not just sitting in the bank. It's being used by the bank to, I don't know, make people buy mortgages. Yeah.
It's being used by the bank to buy stocks in companies and then creating more money. This is why it's all fake, right?
It's all completely fake.
Yes, the bank is using the money that they created to do something.
We don't know what, but it is doing something with the money. So the show that we do is a primarily we started out as like an atheist content show, and we do talk a lot about the religious right in this country because you can't separate them from the Republicans anymore.
No.
We've also touched on the subject of like QAnon. We pretty much go after anybody that's a crazy conspiracy theorist, and YouTube took notice of it, and they don't really like us there anymore because they don't know how to distinguish between being critical of an idea and sharing the idea. So it's been fun times with that one, but we've been doing the show for about 6 years, and we talk about class inequality every once in a while. Felicia will turn everything to communism, do fist raised in the air, power to the people stuff. And I love her for it. And it's a fun show. We do probably it's like a 90-minute podcast every week, but for people that are patrons and stuff, we put out a lot more content. So I very much want to have a community and not just a show. And so I don't really care what platform I'm on as long as people are able to catch it. So
yeah, that's right. The thing about YouTube is it's just the most the easiest and most accessible, right?
Yeah. Well, thankfully we have enough people that support us on Patreon that I was able to get a pretty decent license for using Vimeo.
Oh, nice.
Because anything you upload there, you have a certain like cap that you can't upload anymore. And luckily I'm going to start migrating everything to that because just in case YouTube decides to go yoink and pull our cord, yeah. I would like to be, I've got everything backed up. So thankfully I'm good there, but
right. Yeah. You've been doing shows for a long time though. So
yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. Over 2000 things we put out on YouTube. And so it's just one of those things where at an overabundance of caution, I want to make sure I have a backup of other stuff somewhere else because we're entertaining. It's fun to watch. And I personally look at some of the stuff, go back and see some of the older clips. And I'm like, history, we were there talking about this when this happened. And, what kind of state of mind were we in? And in the future, I would love for my kids to be able to trip across whatever I have and watch the stuff and be like, wow, that was my dad. He never talked about any of this stuff at home,
Right. Yeah. It's, we kind of did that with, Brainstorm a little bit. Like we had, a variety of topics and whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And it's kind of hard to narrow things down when you're just a bunch of friends that want to get together and talk about stuff. So, I mean, we will touch on pop culture. We talk about cheese a lot because we're bougie.
Sure. That's fair.
And of course we have booze every once in a while. It's just a good time hanging out with three friends that enjoy each other's company and like talking about complicated topics and honestly listening to each other's viewpoints and trying our best not to be a dick to each other. So it's kind of a weird sell, but if you enjoy bar talk, not like dude bro bar talk, but like you're going to get yourself a corner table somewhere and just going to be fixing all of the world's problems at the bar. Yeah. That's our show.
Yeah, it's not like on Facebook where everything turns toxic right away. Like you're talking to somebody in person, you're being respectful of their opinions and they were being respectful of yours. And even if you disagree, you're still friends, right?
Yep. And we don't platform anybody that we don't like or agree with. So it's because, it's an amazing concept. You can own your own platform, guys. You can absolutely not have Nazis on your show. It's not hard.
Yeah, you don't have to. It's not infringing on their free speech if you don't have Boogaloo Boys on your fucking show.
Oh, and I love their little tap dance of well, we're actually anarchists. Like, no, you're not. Come on. I've seen what you guys have posted.
Yeah. I mean, anarcho-capitalists still think they're anarchists, right?
Fucking ANCAPs. How do they exist? God.
I don't know. Because they just hate the government. They just hate paying taxes. That's all it is.
Well, I was reading somebody earlier today on Twitter. They were talking about how getting rid of government regulation. It was essentially your typical libertarian dude bro that was out there talking about stuff. And if you remove government from it, business will regulate itself. And I'm just like, in what world do you live in where business regulates itself? Any corner that they can cut and get away with without actually having to go to getting in trouble for it, they're going to cut it.
Yeah.
Hence Amazon, goddammit.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They will always maximize profits. They have to. That's what they do.
Capitalism is. That's what corporations do. They are a machine for making money.
Yeah. If you don't have some rules stopping them from doing things, they will just do them if they make the money. That there's no stopping that.
Yeah. I mean, we've been a show for a long time, and I've thought about and bandied around the idea of us becoming a business, only because we live in a society where you have to play by their stupid rules. You know?
Yeah, that's right. We live in the system we are in.
we kind of have to if you want to take those next steps, and being able to have tax breaks and stuff, because you are chipping into the commerce industry. So
yeah.
Oh, it's weird, man. It's weird trying to play by the rules, and at the same time trying to change them at the same time. I'm definitely not in the camp of being an accelerationist or anything like that. It's just I hope that we get more and more progressive thinkers in office that actually push the old fucks out. But
right.
And not saying old is bad. I'm just saying the old guard. The old guard, I should say. So
yeah. Sorry,
because our politics is a goddamn mess, man.
Okay, so I guess before we started, you were telling me a story about Twitter.
Okay, first of all, there's not enough nuance that you can have on Twitter. I mean, you the character count itself I made a post because I saw some dumbass out there that was talking about how Biden is doing so well compared to Trump.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Here's the quote, right? Here's the tweet that I sent out and said, hey, if your bar for Biden is, quote, at least he's better than Trump, unquote, you have been duped into thinking the bare minimum is amazing. He's done some good things in his first 3 months, but please have higher standards of judging presidents. This is my quote, and I included a gif of Odorous Orungus from Guar. Hopefully people wouldn't take me really fucking serious. You know?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, usually people don't put Guar gifs into their comments that they want people to take them seriously. So
no, that's right.
Somebody said, "Are you saying that America was once again duped into choosing the best of two evils, and there still wasn't a right answer?" Paris thought, "No, it's not what I'm saying. It's like we had a choice between a fascist and status quo, and we went with status quo because presidents should be at least doing what Biden does and giving a shit about the people."
Yeah, right.
But no, the people in this country have been duped into GOP, let's do fucking nothing and blow up foreign countries, or let's do a little bit and blow up foreign countries. You know?
Yeah, that's right. Like, I got a bunch of I got a bunch of shit once because Biden he announced on some video that he was not going to cancel the $50,000 worth of student debt that he could technically do
easily
per person. I mean,
because it is a federal loan program. That means he's the fucking executive branch. He's the CEO of the country. He, with the stroke of a pen, go executive order. All this is gone.
Yep.
But he chooses not to.
And he said straight up, "I'm not doing that." And I said, well, this is trash. This is a trash idea from him. Like, he absolutely is being trashy if he's not doing this. And, like I say, you get the liberals who are like, you gotta stop criticizing Biden. It's too early or whatever it was.
No, the thing is, you can criticize somebody on their first day of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
You honestly should, because they won't do better unless you're criticizing them. I'm sure you've had the new employee at your job, a greenie, and on their first day, they are going to make all kinds of fuck ups.
Yep.
And unless you called them on that,
yeah, you have to be able to say, no, that's actually not how we do that. This is how we do that.
Like, you're going to lose a finger doing it that way. Don't do that.
Don't. Yeah.
And so it's just the audacity of people that think that you can't hold a new president to task when at the same time, the very first week of Trump being president and him getting executive orders against allowing Muslim people to travel to the United States, people were up in arms and going against them. The same people are saying that you can't judge a president at his first couple of months. We're judging the other president by his first couple of months.
Yeah.
There's a fucking double standard here, guys. If you're not going to treat every president the same way, and that's the other thing I don't get, is people treat their elected officials, their politicians, as if they are like rock stars or celebrities and stuff. And it's like, yes, they are a famous person, but they're famous because you put them there.
Yeah.
And they better fucking listen to their bosses. You know?
Like, okay, so I'm not a fan of people who like go around defending their favorite YouTuber or podcaster. You know,
we're all trash.
We're all trash. Everybody fucks up, right?
Yeah.
So you extend that, like, okay, so that's one with zero consequences, right? Like this is a YouTuber. No,
yeah.
Who gives a shit? And you get more and more famous. And people are supposed to be like more and more like critical because they have more power. The more power they have, the bigger influence they are. You have to be more critical of them, not less.
So I don't get how there are certain people that made a market for themselves, like on YouTube. And this is not going to be like scolding the anti-wokes or anything like that. But there are a lot of people out there that have over the years, after they've gained their audience by putting out like anti-SJW content. And I used to watch that shit. I was a shitlord just like most other guys in the mid 20s, or sorry, the mid 2010s or something like that. It was right. When YouTube atheism was on the rise, and so it led to, you know, talking about feminism and all this other shit that everybody had opinions about, because Gamergate was a thing apparently. There are people that have evolved since making that content, and there's a lot of people out there that are unwilling to listen to them now because they knew what they were then. Right. And which it's like they're on your side now. They've changed their stripes. They've become better people. And you could be cynical and say, well, they're doing it because that's where the money is now. And I could point to folks like Thought Slime, and I could point to, you know, what's the one I'm thinking of? The Non-Compete, where it's like, they're not making a ton of money off of doing this kind of stuff, guys. No. It's not like this is a popular idea. Corporations absolutely hate it when you want people to unionize, and
yeah, that's right. They don't like the alternative worldviews per se.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be an alternative worldview. That's the most fucked up thing. It's like I'm constantly watching media where you're supposed to be like, okay, just take for instance, a video game came out recently, Cyberpunk 2077.
Right.
The main character in the game that you play, the avatar that you are, has another character that you interact with on the regular, who was just a giant fucking anarchist. Not like anarchism, like, you know, a fan of the non-government agencies and stuff like that, but he literally wanted to destroy a corporation by nuking the building. And so, mini nuke, you know, not a big one.
not a full-blown nuke.
No, but like the thing is, like, they put this character in the game where you're supposed to be like listening to him and hearing from him and saying, oh man, that guy's an extremist. I don't think I like his ideas. But from the outset, I'm listening to him. I'm like, dude's making a lot of sense.
Actually, he's not wrong. Maybe the things he wants to do are a little bit extreme.
That's a bit extreme how he got there, and he's going to harm people. But who's to say that? Because it is a dystopian future where that corporation essentially is the government, and so it's just okay. Yeah, it's corporatism in that universe, and so it's.
That's the ANCAP future. That's the one they want, is the corporations will run everything.
Yep. Private security firms, even though they call themselves the police, you know.
Yep.
They take money from corporations to give them better response rates. You have corporate security that has more, if not the same law and law taking away abilities as courts do, and like regular police do. It's a hellhole, man. And everybody's like, oh, it's cool. I'm like, no, I would absolutely hate living in this time.
Yeah, no, that's not cool.
No. Jesus. I don't get it. It's like, I think you should be okay with having more people on your side of arguments instead of, you know, asking for purity of thought for everything, you know. To be honest, if there's somebody that harbors like anti-trans, anti-LGBT, you know, anything that I'm very much against somebody having those opinions, I'm not going to welcome them into my side. But at the same time, if they may have expressed shit like that in the past and they've sincerely apologized and they're trying to work towards making themselves a better person, I choose to believe them. I'm not as cynical as not to believe them, because I was one of those people that was a shitlord. I just wasn't vocal about it on YouTube. I just, you know, kept it all up here into myself.
Yeah.
But I finally reached a stage where I grew the fuck up, you know? And so
I think it's you give people a little bit of rope, right? You give them chances, you give them the opportunity to prove themselves in various ways. You don't, but also I guess like that's coming from my privileged perspective. Like obviously a marginalized person doesn't owe a content creator a second chance, right?
Absolutely not. No, that's the thing. Is that, and the thing is, like, the reason only reason I'm bringing this up is because there are people that have tried to become better than they once were, but at the same time, it's just like, oh, that's just more of the same shit from these kind of people, just in a different, like, the mouthwash is on the other side now, and it's like, can't we do better? Can't we get better content creators out there?
It would be good if you could get some genuine people who believe in good things out there doing work.
Propping other people up, making other people feel good about what they're doing in their life. No.
Yeah.
No, instead we still have shock jocks like Steven Crowder, and we still have we still have mega church pastors that are some of the biggest channels on YouTube, and it's just like, I guess you guys are fine just wanting to feel shitty about yourself as long as you're picking on somebody else that's more marginalized than you are,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I mean, obviously they like the right, they like to play the victim a lot too.
Oh yeah, we're the victim here. We're like, oh god, Laura Loomer had a story that video that just came out this last week, and I don't normally pay attention to her, but she showed up on Right Wing Watch, and she was talking about she wants to get a Holocaust style tattoo like on her wrist of her docket number that she got for shackling herself to Twitter. You remember she pulled that stupid stunt where she. Yep. Yeah, because her account got canceled. They took her away. They deplatformed her. And so she's trying to say that there is a digital Shoah going on right now. And I'm like, fuck me.
How long ago was that though? Like, it's not new.
Yeah. I don't understand how, okay. In my life, like the whole YouTube thing going on right now where we got demonetized and stuff. And I'm not angry about the whole thing. I honestly never made much off of YouTube anyway, but it's just a way of getting your stuff out there on the platform.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, life threw an obstacle in my way, and I was like, okay, well that sucks. I'm gonna go this way now, or I'm gonna change what I do and do this instead.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and just be mad about it for like 2.5 years and then talk about how I'm gonna hoist myself up on this cross and nail myself in because I'm not allowed to make the tweets anymore.
Yeah, like, you're gonna get your Holocaust style tattoo of your YouTube channel file number or whatever. Like, come on.
It's like, okay, you can, if you really needed to, Laura, you guys love capitalism so much, you can start your own. You can start your own platform. I know. Let's go back to PHP BB bulletin boards, and you can have your own forum. There you go. It's just like Facebook.
Yeah, that's right.
These people, goddammit.
Yeah, it's funny stuff. They you even see it, although I guess Ta-Nehisi Coates kind of did target Jordan Peterson in a way. He
deserved it, though.
But he's like,
that's such good trolling. That's so good. You got like people with like Red Skull fan accounts on Twitter coming out and going, I do not approve this. I don't think you should. Jordan Lee Peterson does not represent my beliefs.
Yeah,
he doesn't talk like Skeletor. What the hell am I doing?
Good enough. Yeah, good
enough. No, we talked about this on Utah Outcast when we recorded last night. It's like, if you find yourself agreeing with Red Skull, who was Red Skull was too fucking racist and crazy for the Nazis. Hydra was too much of a authoritarian fascist group for the Nazis. They wanted to get rid of him too. So if you're okay with Red Skull now, that means that you've gone past fash and you've gone into like ultra fash.
Yeah, that's right.
God damn it.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous. I'm a little annoyed that Peterson even has a platform again. Like, after all that shit, and
I'm
now
surprised he has brain functions right now because he was in that coma for so long.
Yeah,
and it was all to get off of being addicted to Benzies, and so it's like you could have just gone through like the usual programs to get off of drugs, right? You are a doctor. You know this, right? Yeah. Sorry, he's a doctor of psychology, which means he should understand addictive personalities, and he should understand how you can wean yourself off of things like that. But
yeah, you'd think
I guess putting me into a coma is a better idea. I want to lose some weight. Well, I better put myself into a coma.
pretty sure that all meat diet isn't exactly making his brain function better.
Oh, God.
So
he had a picture from his birthday a couple weeks ago, and it was him with a candle and a fucking steak in front of him.
Jeez.
I was like, what are you doing, man? This is so unhealthy. And the daughter's fine with it. She's like, I hope he dies. I want his money.
Well, yeah, that's right. Like,
well, she's trying to get her promoting it up and everything, of course. Too, yeah, so. She's the one that pushed the whole whole meat diet thing, and
it's bizarre.
She
has no qualifications at all for that.
Yeah, she's not a dietitian or anything, and I unfortunately heard him on the Dark Horse podcast, which is the Brett Weinstein show that he has, and
oh yeah.
Guys, I watch this stuff so you don't have to, or listen to this stuff so you don't have to, because honestly, it's entertaining to me to hear what the people that have these beliefs are saying about stuff. And he was going on this like anti-doctor, anti-hospital tirade. And again, falsely claiming that COVID was released by China from a Wuhan weapon lab. And I'm just, Jesus Christ.
Despite all evidence to the contrary.
Well, and I also saw like a article before I even got on here where they were talking about how China needs to answer more questions about how COVID started. Like, in what world do you hold another country responsible for a natural pandemic? You know?
Yeah.
It could have been, guys, in America, it could have been stopped if you would have, corrected your president a little bit more instead of just letting
guidelines.
him.
Yeah.
Just like that new guy on the job. If you would to correct him for the shit that he was doing, maybe we wouldn't have lost 500,000 people.
There's like a theme here, right?
Right.
Like you're allowed to criticize politicians.
And you should, vocally and vociferously, I don't agree with going to the Capitol and busting down the fucking doors and, going into the halls of Congress when you weren't invited to be there, because that's a no-no. That is a actual federal crime. But at the same time, you need to go visit them when they have office hours. You need to hold them accountable to the stuff that they do. The only problem is they're typically not going to listen to you because you don't have the money.
Yeah, that's right.
And until we get money out of our politics, we're not going to see much of a change at all. But
you have to have
that's me being cynical again.
You almost have to have massive numbers of people communicating with your politicians about various things so that they know where their constituents lie. Yeah. Instead of just going with the money. But
well, and as we learned, you can't shame anybody in the GOP to doing the right thing anymore, because they absolutely are not listening to constituents at all anymore. I personally helped fill up voicemail mailboxes for every one of my elected officials in this state, and I live in Utah, so it's a very red-leaning, hard red-leaning state because of the LDS church that's here. And everybody that's a major elected official, their voice mailboxes were full. They weren't listening to anything we had to say anymore.
Yeah. This is a fundamental problem with the party type politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe you could come up with a good way to do representative politics without parties, but as long as you have parties, you're stuck with this team mentality. And as soon as you have those teams, then people just don't think. They just pick their team and they win, they win and lose, and it doesn't matter what's going on.
Yep. They pick R's and D's. And the same person that was correcting me about my saying something about Biden, they were talking about how their governor of their state is actually someone that lives in DC. So they caucus with Virginia, I believe, is where they can get their elected officials from. And they had was it their governor? Yeah, it must have been the governor, is a Republican guy, but he's actually doing well for the people of that state. And it's like, imagine that. You can have somebody that actually gives a shit about the people in your state and not be beholden to the party that they belong to. But
go figure, hey?
Go figure, right? You can have a higher level of, giving a shit about things besides what's next to your name. Unfortunately, a lot of the cynical assholes like Gates and stuff, they're just going to keep holding on to power, and they're not going to be held accountable for a lot of shit because they have the R next to their name. And when it comes time for the next midterm to happen in 2022 in this country, people are going to forget about Ted Cruz going to Cancun for a vacation during the time where his state was freezing over and people were dying. Nobody's going to care about Matt Gaetz paying through Venmo for, underage sex trafficking. They're not going to care, man.
Although he might go to jail, right?
I hope.
Like sex trafficking underage girls is probably not good. Like that should probably send him to jail.
One thing I can give a little bit of credit to the people that follow the right. If they actually were listening to if the news programs were actually more than just Fox News and whatever drive time radio they might be listening to, the people that are usually conservatives, they do a pretty good job of holding kid touchers accountable a lot of the time. I mean, you had you remember Milo Yiannopoulos was a thing there for a while.
Yeah.
And he essentially got uninvited to being a conservative fun bag anymore after he started talking about how he enjoyed the fact that he got like his priest did something to him, I think, or
right. Yeah,
he was
like
okay
that.
with the pedophilia of a priest that happened to him, and everybody's just like, oh fuck, that's a bridge too far, man. We can't follow you on that one. And so hopefully with Matt Gaetz, if he finally comes out and has some stuff where he can't sidestep it or get away from it, hopefully it'll be something where it's going to be a bridge too far for some people, especially for people in Florida. But
yeah, hopefully,
because Florida's kind of red, but it's not nearly as bad as like Utah is. Like this. But the funny thing is, like, we're getting encroached upon around all sides by other states that are more progressive, and so it's like the time goes on, it's going to be something where we're going to have to change. We're going to have to follow what the rest of the world is doing. Like, we had I thought we had really, really conservative like liquor laws in the state, because we have to buy your hard liquors and stuff through the state stores, which is stupid because they charge a markup for it. But at the same time, I've been to other states where it's even more drastic, and they're Republican controlled as well. Like there are still some states in this country that have dry counties. Like, you cannot buy booze at all in that county.
It's bizarre.
How? Can we get a federal rule?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
I don't understand people's holding on as hard as they possibly can to like the being independent states within a federal government. I don't like the republic part of it. We should have one set of rules that pertains to everybody across the entire United States. But
yeah, I mean, I guess I get that it's kind of tough because there are different issues in different places with different, land masses and whatever. And now it's already too late, right?
Yeah, that's not going to be changing. The whole states' rights crowd isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. And now they've already created like almost little independent countries that have their own issues and their own problems and situations that, it would be a lot of work for a federal agency to just take care of these things. But
yeah, I mean, it's you guys run into it as well. I mean, but you have much less territories than we have states there. So
yeah.
But you also have what's the population of Canada right now? Isn't it?
It's around 33 million.
So about a tenth of what we have then.
Yeah.
So it's probably easier to manage your guys' population.
I would think so. Yeah.
Unlike here, where you have, the majority of people living on coastal states and, giant cities, yet the land seems to have more voting than the people. What
we're running into right now with the vaccinations is that despite having a universal healthcare system, each province is in charge of their healthcare, right? So then it's been like vaccines are distributed to the province, and then the provinces are in charge of distributing them to the people. And it's like, that's part of why our patchwork system, it's kind of been, we've had worse results than the US as far as vaccinations. So
yeah, weirdly enough, like here in Utah, even though we are very conservative and there's a ton of anti-vax people here, there's a lot of people that have the alternative health beliefs here because multi-level marketing is a huge draw for Utah. We have a lot of businesses where that's how they make their money. And a lot of them are very much anti-vaccination, and people don't want to get the vaccinations and they don't trust it. And there's chemicals in it. And I'm like, there's chemicals in everything. But
yeah.
But we've actually had a pretty good rollout in this state. Like it all has to do with how your government is set up, like within the state. Like we have a governor that is fairly young compared to the guy who was running it last. And he tends to, even though he's Republican, he tends to actually give a shit about the people of the state. And that's, I think, the biggest draw for a lot of places is like, does your government honestly care for you?
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
But we've had a pretty good rollout. I mean, hell, the governor made it so that even I could get my vaccine, even though I wasn't any kind of like a health risk factor. But it was one of those things where if you have a BMI of over a certain amount, you could get your vaccine. And I'm like, wow, that's really forward thinking. I'm going to go get mine today.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, we are currently.
It's the first time being fat actually worked in my favor. So.
Well, it's got to work sometimes, right?
Right.
Okay, so it's 35, 40 minutes in almost. Do you have anything that you would like to talk about for counter propaganda?
Let's see. What is your idea of propaganda though? That's where I guess where I have to come at with this one. Because we could go Fox News and counter Fox News. There is no such thing because there's MSNBC is still yet another tool of the state. You know.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I mean, even that, like, count propaganda is a common myth or something that is pushed by the mainstream media or by some influencer or influential source it's just wrong, right?
Yeah.
Or it's intended to mislead.
So in our state, we happen to be one of the groups that one of the states that just got rid of their mask mandate, state ran mask mandate as of yesterday. And that puts a lot of stress on the actual like businesses and places where they want people to still wear masks. And so now you can no longer point to the sign and say, the governor says we have to do this or the state says we have to do this. It's now we say you have to do this. And unfortunately, we have a lot of anti-vax people and we have a lot of people that honestly, if you didn't have to wear a mask, they wouldn't. And they chest pound about how it's my rights and my freedoms and just... Right. And I see you guys are getting a bit of that out there in Canada too, because there's that one church in Alberta that got shut down that I've been following that one pretty closely. So
okay, yeah, there's been actually a number of like rallies and stuff lately too, because people don't want to wear masks and my rights and blah 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 and anti-lockdown. Why are you giving me vaccines? I don't want any of this stuff. It's my right to die of a virus. Damn it.
Like, can you just repeat that sentence slower for yourself? You know, like this is a drug that makes it so you won't die of this thing.
Yep.
This thing that I'm going to give you, it won't kill you. This thing over here could kill you.
Yeah. But again, I mean, they actively don't believe that the virus is real, or they believe that the vaccine is meant to do something. We're going to go on to foes and comrades. Is there some person or group that needs to be called out for being shitty besides the Republicans? Because we've been talking about them already. Right. Or is there somebody who is, you think, a good comrade who needs a boost?
Everybody needs to listen to more Kevin Logan. Kevin Logan's doing a good job on YouTube. Okay. He's got good content out there. He goes into lots of communism talk, lots of Marxism talk. He also brings down the manosphere down a peg or two. He's one of those guys that has had arguments and conversations with Sargon of Akkad and has called him a fucking asshole right to his face, you know, like you should. None of this playing nice and I'm gonna make him see the error of his ways. He's like, no, you're a fucking idiot. You know, he's a good guy. My friend Brentley from Unapologetics podcast, he's an up and coming. They've had a podcast for a while. They're an interracial couple that does a podcast out of Florida, and he does the videos on YouTube every once in a while. I apologize, I don't have his name for what his YouTube channel is, but go listen to the Unapologetics podcast. They do a good job. But he has debates where he tries to talk to conservatives that live nearby him.
Okay.
And God, they're hilarious because he's just like, I'm not understanding where you're coming from with that. Kid, do you have any sources? And the guy's like, no, I don't have any sources. So that's just how I feel.
No, you cannot.
And meanwhile, I'm over here in the side chat just throwing bombs at the guy the whole time. I'm like, nice. Ask him about this, ask him about that. And he's just like, I got it, man. Don't worry.
Nice.
So no, he's a good dude. But as far as foes, if Steven Crowder did just recently get in trouble with YouTube for some of the shit that he did. So he's one of the people that I abhor. We cover a guy named Matt Powell. He's a younger.
Oh, now you said his name. He'll end up watching my stuff.
A younger creationist asshole minister. And we watched the video last night while we were recording the show where he was talking about the myth of transgenderism. And it's just all of us were just like, you're fucking wrong. You're so wrong. And he's like, well, the Bible says. I'm like, dude. And one of my sayings I have on Utah Outcasts all the time is fuck your book. Because I don't care if you have a book that says you could do a thing. That a book is not an authority.
No, that's right.
And I've been dealing with lots of those Christian guys on my solo channel, Outcast X, that I have, because they're coming after me like, how do you have morality being a Satanist? And I'm like, easy. Right. I don't harm people.
Yeah, you had one of those posts on your Instagram, and I was like,
yep.
And it's like, okay, right and wrong don't come from some higher power. Like, they don't come from God. They come from how we treat each other and what we expect. Like, treat people well, and you're doing good.
If you treat people the way you wished you were to be treated by somebody else that you didn't know, that's pretty much it, and it's stupid that somebody has to write it down in the book that says this is the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated, and that's the way you're going to believe it. But also the people that are Christian, especially the ones that are coming after me, they claim that I don't know like the source material. That's true. I haven't read the Bible cover to cover because it's a boring fucking book, man.
Fuck that.
But at the same time, I know history, and they're coming after me saying, well, you can't have morality without God. And I'm like, well, there was a code of ethics that existed before the Abrahamic gods came into being. Are you trying to say that because they said first, they get to be the ones that are right?
Right.
Are you claiming historicity is the reason that you should, that the reason that you have more morality than somebody else? It's like, okay, well, if somebody wrote it before, you wrote it after, and I'm refining it to this point. Aren't we all right?
Yeah, it's
stupid. I hate Christian arguments, which is why we don't have them that much. But it's one of those things. So my foe is organized religion. How about that one? Religion bad, yo.
That sounds good to me.
I didn't wear my linen shirt. I have a linen shirt where he says "religion bad, yo" on it.
Nice. Direct quote, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. He said those words.
All right. So
I love
where
that
can
shirt.
people find where, in case they don't follow you already, where can people find your stuff?
You can find me at anything with Utah Outcasts because we have Twitch where we do our shows every Saturday night. We have YouTube where you can catch the show after we've recorded it. All of the stuff that we've done that's made it out to the public, like live streams and everything. So YouTube and Twitch are the two big places to catch us. We have our own website, UtahOutcast.com. You can find us at Vimeo.com/UtahOutcasts. And if you follow the Twitter account of Twitter.com/UtahOutcast, you get just me. It's me. I run the social media for everything because I don't want Kyle and Felicia to get dragged into internet fights all the time. And I'm an absurdist, so...
And they do it on their own anyway.
Right.
So,
like I said, being an absurdist, it's like people come at me with like well-reasoned and thought out ideas and stuff like that, and I'll just post a Hannibal Buress clip and just like whack. It's like,
yeah, I'm not engaging with you. Fuck.
Like you must seem to misunderstand. We're not on the same level.
Yeah, we're not playing this game.
Yep. So yeah, anything Utah Outcast, and you could also find my YouTube that I do the Outcast X stuff on, which is primarily leaning towards talking about the Christian nationalism is my big target on that one, because They're everywhere, guys. And here in the United States, they want our government to be a theocracy, and they're trying to make it happen as much as they possibly can. So,
right.
Yep. Find me there.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I always have fun talking. I love not having to be in the driver's seat. This is great.
Yeah, it's easy, eh? Yeah.
Yep. Oh, well, thanks everybody.